McDonald's dealing with a more cautious consumer. Second quarter earnings fell short of Wall Street expectations, sales declining for the first time since 2020 amid a global slowdown from consumers. For a deeper dive into the company's latest results, we've got Nick Setyan. He is Wedbush Securities Managing Director and Equity Research Analyst. Nick, thanks so much for being here. So, a lot of misses in this print, but we're seeing that the stock is up over 3.5%. What do you make of the market reaction here?
Well, first, thanks for having me. Buy-side expectations were much lower. So down 70 bips in the U.S., particularly when, margins were actually much better than expectations as well. Guidance, reiteration of the margin guidance for the year. I think there was an expectation that they might have to take down the margin commentary. So essentially, it was better than feared, and that's why you're seeing the stock move up.
Nick, folks that I've talked to on McDonald's recently, let's say the past month, have suggested their breakfast business has fallen off a map because consumers are cutting back what they're buying and they're cutting back on breakfast. Have you been seeing that, and how big a headwind is that? Because as we all know, that breakfast business really is historically the moneymaker for McDonald's.
Well, especially versus 2019, yeah. The breakfast business is not back to what to where it was in 2019 post COVID. It's recovered a bit, but certainly not back to where it was, in 2019. Now, year over year, it's holding its own. I think there's weakness across the day parts, not just breakfast. Whether it's lunch or dinner. Late night, I've actually the only strong point across QSR, believe it or not. So, I do think there's some weakness year over year in breakfast, but I think it's not specific to breakfast. I think it's across the day parts.
Nick, why is the late night business on fire?
Specifically for most of QSR, I think there's still a little bit of a normalization in terms of hours, frankly. So it's not that there's anything special going on around the late night customer. It's just that now that there's a little bit more labor availability, they can keep the stores open a little bit longer.
Well, it's interesting. I know that you mentioned that the $5 meal was cannibalizing the rest of the menu. McDonald's kind of throwing cold water on that, saying that it's not having an impact yet. But I want to end by sort of broadening this out, Nick, because we're hearing so much commentary from, Chipotle, McDonald's, obviously last quarter with Starbucks about the pricing question. Are we seeing a tempering of company pricing power when it comes to the pressure consumers are facing with inflation? Or is this indicative of a really significant softness in the economy that we are starting to see come up in these company earnings calls?
It's not the latter. This is not a top-down issue. This is a bottom-up issue, in my opinion. And we just took too much pricing for certain segments of the population. And we saw this again in 2016 through 2018, right? So every time we have restaurant prices going up more than grocery prices, you see, a third of transactions within QSR, particularly that lower income household, it's direct meal replacement, right? So every time grocery prices are lower, you essentially have a third of your customers eating out less or using, let's say McDonald's, especially the value menu, less as a meal replacement, and they're going to the grocery store. And that's what's happening now. The $5 meal was supposed to be an answer to that problem. It's not working as well as they hoped, frankly, because it's also cannibalizing the higher income customer that doesn't really need it. And so I think they have to find a better solution.
Nick, bottom line, you're getting 4 McNuggets as part of that deal in a small soda. You're not getting filled up on that stuff. Come on, let's just be real. Nick Setyan, Wedbush Securities Managing Director and Equity Research Analyst. Good to see you. Tell our friend Dan Ives over there hello.
Will do.